this is episode 2 on Naples, the crime scene for the false religion jokes. The Pisos faked the Bible up in the Villa Papyri in Naples, all the way through between about 200 BC, right into 79 AD, when they began to relaunch the print runs, and Marcus Aurelius about 140 AD was able to do all of the launching, and he then sent Christianity in East and West to launch the religion all across the Holy Roman Empire. That's up into Germany, across into France, and across into Constantinople, and all of the Asian, Mongolian, and all of those massive places that is the Holy Lands in what we now call the Middle East. And this one is a Piso family member. Can't remember the name of the actor. It's a dead ringer for my brother-in-law. And God has a way of picking people. It's just amazing, the likenesses that you see on a daily basis now, particularly when you're getting close to solving the global fraud problems. Okay, so this is the 2,000-year-old Christianity fraud that is the fact that Jesus never lived. He was written into the story by the Pisos using a wonderfully ingenious coding system, and this man's name is Virgil Kint. Okay, I'm now going to take you, I won't play any of that in case we get copyrighted. This is the one who's called Keaton, which is the joke about the Godfather analogies, and Diane Keaton playing the woman that rejected the evil mafia family that she was married into. Okay, so that's Virgil. He is one of the elite authors in the Roman community, and he is in the Piso bloodline. Let's show you that now. Okay, so that's the Usual Suspects movie, and it's a bit obscene because what they say is shut the fuck up. So I'll show you some pictures that I've already shown you in episode 1. So, Publius Piso is the man who launched all of the jokes that I've explained in previous videos about the pubs near the Hadrian's Wall, named the Hadrian, and Publius was a Piso family member. But to cover that issue, because it's a very heretical issue, because these people get married to the Roman emperors and they sire their illegitimate children, or those children are sired by the emperor, people like Caligula, and one of the emperors that they killed was Nero, and he's demonized as being the lazy man that watched his boat Rome burned. Okay, so there is Virgil Kint, and there is Virgil. Isn't it funny? And there's Jesus in the Piso story. He's the donkey on Palm Sunday, and that's him playing for Arsenal, which is the Arsenal joke that my wife and her family shared with me every Christmas. Because when we went to Chipping Norton and the Christian churches near there, they had all the Arsenal players lined up in front of me as if I would never be able to suss the crimes out. It's just amazing. So all of the Pharaoh bloodlines from Arsenal, right through to Cleopatra the 7th, who was the lover of Mark Antony, are PISO family members, like Virgil. And this one's a cripple, but they're clever enough in this family to steal all of the money, all of the mines, and there is now what they have planted over the course of time. We now have the Vicar of Dibley and all the jokes, but she is alleged to be the Virgin Mother of the gods in the heavens now, and the Freemasons and all of the people that cast judgment on them in the greatest story ever told. It was told by that family. Okay, so Publius Virgilius is PISO family member, and that is the coinage that is still used in Mexico and in the Philippines, even in recent years, and that is why the Philippines got such massive storms just a few years ago, to light me up about what is happening in our world. And this is northern Italy, where we're going to be exploring. I'm now going to be showing you the tabs that we did not have time to show you today. So down here you see the Galliator, yeah, the alligator stories, and all the crocodile shoes. That becomes the Gladiator movie, and this is the scenes where they have the battles, Titus of Gaul and all of those massive battles in the Colosseum, which is just a for entertainment killing process for all of the slaves. And this is at that time all of the known world, very early in the Roman Empire, and these are the four corners of the world, right underneath the Alpine region, which is the birthplace for Jesus in the fucking Monty Python's joke. It's the birthplace for Hitler, and all of that I've told you before. It is absolutely ruthless, and all of it is imbecilic and childish, and no one can see that the whole thing is a joke except Monty Python's for 140 years. Absolutely massive piss take at the expense of all of the world's people. Right then, so you've seen all of those pictures all the way through, all the corrupted British royals, all the land grabs that they run. So let's get into the history of Naples and shock you with some accurate statistics. I was going to start off first with the dogs. Let's show you the dogs, okay, because they've got dogs that are PISO jokes too. Okay, this one's particularly interesting. I think I showed you some of these in the first ones. Okay, this is look at that one, it's kind of like Gordon Bowden. You better not tell him that, he's very easily offended. Yet he's one of the know-nothings that dismember our country by writing false news. I'm not sure what drives him along. Right then, but the PISO dog is not that one. So that is a Mastino. It does not have the name PISO in it, so it's not quite as powerful as the others. It's a Mastiff. Okay? And no doubt that will be, everything is obscene. Yet all the Roman soldiers love to have a laugh about everything that they kill, and that's the loaves and fishes and the penis jokes all through world history. Okay? This is not the breed that one's a Sicilian shepherd. Do you get it? Loads of biblical sideshows going on here, okay? But the PISO one is further down. And it's a massive dog, and my local neighbours and my former friends in the fishing club have got them. I don't know what inspires them to share that joke, but they're married into elite families that are related to ancient kings, I believe, through the nomenclature of their names, but I don't know the genealogy for sure. Okay, this one's the Wolverine joke. That's the Volpino. Yeah, that's the Romulus and Remus that founded the massive empire that became Rome. So where is the Pizzoni? I don't think you can get dogs in the pizzas, but nothing would surprise me. Here it is. This is it. Really friendly looking guys, and they bark relentlessly at you, maybe because they know that I'm going to uncover their secrets. So these now, in all of the elite jokers like Madonna and all of the families that run the world, when you turn the words around in Hebrew to get the real meaning of the word, so you read from right to left, guess what? God becomes. Yeah, that's it. And we now are obligated to worship that. That is George and Renee Magritte walking their God after the war. Okay, and the name of this breed is the PISO Spinoni family. Okay, spinning around for Kylie, and all of it is, when you see the word PISO in any word, like the corrupted polis in Scotland and all over the world. That's why the Usual Suspects film is so revealing, because some of them in that lineup that you've just seen are corrupted ex-cops. Yeah, and that's the name of Keaton, and that is the name of the Godfather's missus, the really decent woman. Yeah, and all of the really decent people are ever so hard to find now. Yeah, and when you find them, they can be a bit dodgy. I've found through all of my time, yeah, as a fraud researcher. Everybody that's dead keen to find out what you're doing and what it means are there as obfuscation tools. There are very few innocent ones. John Patterson's probably the most innocent, but I believe that he is in the bloodline that is Paterculus, and he is in the bloodline, and he self-confessed that, for the Cray twins, which is the cover for the creches and the Quran, and he is in the bloodlines that were the Bank of England bosses. John Patterson with one T. I forget what his ancestor's name was in the early days of the corrupted banking sector, but not nearly as corrupted as it's now become. Okay, let's show you what the tabs are, just to remind myself, because the first video was shut down. Okay, so everything is sexual innuendo. This is a mega ride place. Yeah, you can get a mega ride at the Bay of Naples, and that is the I forget what it is, the Chicken and Egg Island. Okay, and the myths about this place are the same as the myths that you've got at the Falls of Lorne near Oban, about women getting chucked off the rocks or off the island and drowning because they failed to please their lovers, who in this case are the gods in the skies. Yeah, and there is the massive volcano that is Vesuvius right behind them, and somewhere across here is the Villa Papyri, I believe. Yeah, a very dangerous place. And when they released the Bible in 79 AD, you know now what happened. That's why I'm ever so God-fearing. Okay, so that's the Islet of Megaride. Let's just show you all of the tabs so I can get all of the news out, and then I can get more of the details and more of the photos later on. Okay, so this is Publius, that is Publius Virgilius Maro, yeah, the doubling your name so you're a man and a woman at the same time. Born near Mantua, Cis Alpine, that's south of the Alps, in Gaul, in the Roman Republic, between the four corners of the known world at that time. The Pisos for 50 years before then had been running the mint in Rome. Okay, it's really, really scintillatingly outlandish, and no one you would suspect could get away with it for 2,000 years, but they have. They're ever so clever, and they're ever so dangerous, because they come, the elite bloodlines that are the Windsors and all of the Germans that are in charge of that Holy Roman Empire, and they're alleged to be fighting against each other in the great conflicts. And that's the Federation, Federated States, and the protection rackets. Thank you to the gods for blinding me with a migraine attack and showing all of the colours of all of the nations that were involved in that fraud this morning. Ever so entertaining, the gods that inspire me. Okay, so Publius Piso is his real name. Yeah, all of that was revealed by Abelard Reuchlin and Douglas Voigt's spellbinding research in the west coast of America. Yeah, and that's now been taken over by the T-Mobile company, and T is the Mobile Christian Cross. So do you see why Virgil Kint is in The Usual Suspects? Right then, here's the Cis Alpine tab. For years and years and years, much to the regret of my wife, I've been a massive fan of Parma, and that is up in that region, like the Po River Valley is. And when you see the jokes about the Innsbruck being a bubbling brook at the beginning of the Sound of Music song, yeah, when Mary comes, she's prancing around in the mountains, you can see that the brook is run dry. Yeah, that's the gods are able to do that when they're in charge of river valleys before the massive dams get built. Okay, and this is full of jokes when we get through to it. All of it, that's the Andrew Carnegie culture. Yeah, and all of the word pie keeps cropping up all over the place. And all the jokes, even in Scotland today, about the Freemasonic graveyards and the cocks and the fannies being in them, that is the sexual apparatus. It is in all of the jokes. There's Michael Caine, and there's Andrew Carnegie himself, doing okay. Now totally busted for funds, because everything that they do is a fraud. And there's Livy, yet another one of the New World Order authors out of the PISO family. Titus in this case. Okay, not a very fit looking man, if indeed he is a man. Yeah, it's just amazing. The whole of it is a massive fraud. Right then, so let's get to the top of that in case we get time to see through it. And there's another one. This is Gaius Piso, and his nickname is Catullus. Do you see it? That's the Gaius that came before Arius Calpurnius, and he is married into the PIER lineages that are the poppy jokes. And when you see the finishing scenes of the opera that is the Cavalier Rusticana, yeah, it has now been totally edited out. There are no poppies anywhere to be seen on Google Images, and all of the references to the Passion of Jesus Christ, all of it with the Christian cross and the figurine of Jesus on it, which is still paraded through the Catholic Church in my hometown, even 60 years nearly since I was an altar boy. Yeah, it is absolutely pathetic that the whole world swallows such a fairy story. Yeah, and it's entirely for profit and power. Okay, and all of them pretend that they're poets and philosophers, and that is the situation for the Duke of Northumberland, who's Percy now. He was Perseus then. Yeah, and the cat and dog jokes are all through it. Okay, that's the tic-tac-toe gambling when you read that one backwards, and the dog is now the god on the lead, walking the pavement with your little bag for its shit. Right. So let's do the tabs first, and I'll see whether or not we've got time to go through it all. Okay, this is Parma, and it is just, I think it's in the southern sectors of that massive Four Corners region that you've seen. Okay, I cannot think of any headlines for this, so there it is, right up at the top of Italy, between Genoa, where Columbus sailed from, and that is the God and Noah jokes all rolled into one, and that's the art treasures place that God floods. Yeah, but when they put the canals in, it's less easy for God to produce a flood, which is why they put the canals in all over America, all up and down the Nile Valley, and all of it is a huge piss take against the gods that created, yeah, everything that is prosperity and decency. They used to regulate that with their weather patterns. They're not able to do it since the damming projects. Do you get it? Florence, full of art treasures, and Bologna, massive famous cities. That's Berlusconi's hub. That's the Celtic region of Italy. Okay, and there's nothing very sinister in those disclosures, and this bit is just out of interest for me because I've got a friend in Kelso, yeah, and she worships at one of the denominations I go to, and she's lovely, and she used to live there. Yeah. it's fascinating. I'd love to talk to her more and go for a walk with her. Yeah, she is a beautiful woman, but I'm interested in what her mind is like and what the experiences were like in Rome when she was a child. Yeah, right next door to the Colosseum. Yeah, and the killing of all of those people for the diversions that we now have as professional rugby, and which is why the Italians were invited into the 5 nations to be the 6 nations competitors, and they barely win a game ever because it's not their sport. Yet their sport is lopping the heads off slaves in the Colosseum and pretending that it is the historic victories for the Christian armies as they massacre the pagans all over the world. Isn't it colourful and lovely that your neighbours get loved like that, as God demanded in the Bible? Yeah? The George W. Burning Bush stories on the tablet that is now the computer joke. Yeah, and there's the Vatican City right next door. So, next time I see you, I want to know more, yeah, about the bloodline and who else is in it. Yeah? Panonio of Matthew. Do you get that? Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, none of them ever lived. They're all part of the fairy story from a little bit further up, Naples. Okay, and you can see all the pie jokes all around the region. Okay, right, so another tab, and this time in my lobbying period I had a charming family from America. I forget which state they were from, and they came to fish with me when I was a fishing guide. Their family came across for a wedding in Scotland, and they're lovely, lovely people, and they know that I am going to solve this problem and disclose it to the whole world, but they are pizza shop owners and they were really, really lovely. Okay, I can't remember the name, but they're still on my global mailing list, and they came and they spoke, and they know all about the history of this and all about the PISO jokes, all through the sad story of what is supposed to be one of the morally binding commitments that the human race make to save their souls, and if they're bad they will lose their souls and they will burn in hell. All of it is invented by the PISOs. Okay, and the pizzas are ever so clever, because Queen Margherita is the Margherita pizza. That's Queen Margherita of Italy. And there's another one, and I forget what that's named after, but if we're really lucky and I've got time, we'll be able to find it. And look at the colours. I'd love to go on my next honeymoon when the woman of my dreams comes forward. Yeah, got no idea who that's going to be yet. Okay, it's just beautiful, and it's ever so deceitful. Okay, and what they've got through my childhood is a song called Kumbaya, and because my grandpa and my uncle were shepherds sometimes in their farming lives, I know that kush is the word that they say to the livestock to make them move across the field, yeah, under the hook-shaped stick that every shepherd carries, the crook. Yeah, do you get it? It's a criminal syndicate run out of Naples, and the mafia are all over the crime scene. And where the mafia are launched from in Sicily, there are even more volcanoes around there, so that when the Pauline missions comes along, everybody gets plastered in lava. And that's what happened to the Villa Papyri. Okay, so here's all of the pizza histories, and the Kumbaya song is further down. I'll start by playing that, and so you can see, and this is the last bit. And the Cavalier Rusticana, they launched a song competition, and someone, I can't remember the names of the funders of that, but the Cavalier Rusticana is Jesus, and I've shown you the evidence for that in the Godfather movies. Yet this is a really vicious chapter, and this is showing you that Pagliacci also won in 1893, yeah, way back, just as we were planning World War I, yeah, they have these musical competitions, and the theatre in this place is absolutely magnificent. Let's have a look at it. Oh no, it's on the other computer. I've shown you already in the video number 1 on this. Yeah, it is massive, and all of the upper seats are called the gods. Yeah, and all of the lower seats are where the children of paradise sit. Yeah, that's the Commonwealth joke. Yeah, nobody gets Commonwealth. It's an elite venue. Super rich people get to go, and all of that is adequately described also in the Mozart films. Okay, and Jesus is the clown in Pagliacci. God is the clown in Pagliacci. The humans are the Aryan master race that run all the wars, yeah, and control all of the souls, yeah, and all of the masses by using the vicar in the Christian colour. Yeah, and do you think the colour is of any use to God owners? Yeah, it's all turned on its head, and it's a massive laugh. And thank you for that lovely woman in the supermarket again tonight, who walks her dog, and our child who does the martial arts. Okay, the sad religious component of the ruthless nailing up of Jesus is no longer sung about by the Italian pizza brigade in Naples. So if you look now for, on Google Images or on YouTube, for the finishing scenes that are in the Godfather movie, because I've got it in a box set, yeah, I own it, they cannot take that away from me, that Jesus' cross and Jesus on the cross is paraded into the middle of the town in every city across our world. Yeah, it's absolutely ruthless. And the name of that beautiful theatre with the gods is the name of the Godfather 3 son, yet the bastard son of Sony, who's Santa Claus in the Elf film. Yeah, Carlo is the name of the theatre in Naples, and it's named after a saint, and all of the saints never ever lived. Yet with the possible exception of Ogilvy and MacKillop, who are the banking frauds and the massive Balmoral links to the profiteers in the NHS in Scotland through Her Majesty's Royal Services to them. Right then, so what is this? So this is what you get when you hit a Google search now for the crucifixion of Jesus at the finishing scenes of Godfather 3. There is not a single image of a cross in it. That's because they're ashamed of all of the mockery that Jesus was invented in Naples, yeah, and all of it. And this is, most of the operas for Rusticana now are out of Rome. Pagliacci is a song for what is the name of the legendary singer from Italy. He died really young and really fat, and that is no surprise to me now. Yeah, what he's singing about is about, yeah, so there's the finishing scenes, that's in the opera, that's the Godfather about to die, that's the billboard for the opera. There is not one image of Jesus' cross, yet that you see paraded all through the town, yeah, in the finishing scenes of the actual movie, which I've got in the box sets. Yeah, everything that I've bought, every place that I've been, is part of my destiny. Yeah, they've got the bits about gunning people down in the theatres, but nothing about the Jesus fraud. There he is, Al Pacino. Yeah, and the Pacino jokes are all through episode 1. That's the Alpine namings of the regions where the Rockefellers and the Bears and the Rothschilds came from. And they are the real godfathers, as you now know. Okay, no cross, no passion, yeah, just the family members for the scaremongering bit that these are the evil people of our world, and it's nothing to do with those lovely religious clerics like Archbishop O'Brien, yeah, the Be-Aryan joke that everybody in Scotland must now understand, because I've told them all it for the last 4 years back to back. Yeah, the life of Brian, Brian the snail. Yeah, it's just massive. And even my neighbours that are called Brian and look just like the gladiator in the movie, they seem embarrassed even to look at me now. It's just amazing. Yeah, so there is not a single page after page of images, a single image of the topic for the original prize-winning opera. The other prize-winning opera that shared it is the clown opera for what's his name again? The fat bloke that died, Pavarotti. Yeah. He came into prominence when the Italian team was in contention in the World Cup, and I forget the legendary song he sang then. Okay, so let's get rid of that and let's go through some of those tabs. Okay, so the history of Naples is where we started, and that's where I discovered the Virgil Kint joke. Do you get it? It's massive. Yeah, it's my favourite movie, because that and The Devil's Advocate explain exactly what the world has become. Okay, so there's a plan of the city, and all of the piers are the St. PIER joke. Do you get that? Yeah, never lived either. For some reason I can't explain, I know St. PIER will not call my name, even in the Brighton murders for Mrs. Thatcher. Yeah, the terror at the pier at Brighton. Okay, and so I was quite stunned when I found Virgil Kint, because it's become a very familiar name, and it's the Greeks that went there first, and I believe that the Greeks had the earliest civilization. Their buildings were beautiful. All of them now are the Elgin marbles in Scotland, and it's absolutely ruthless. Sorry, in the British Museum. Yeah, and the museum film is just a piss take about all of these great civilizations, and all that Melvyn Bragg does is to demonise the people that demonise religion. That is, Christians being killed by people in their home countries because they don't want to have a bar of it. And the launch of Islam is absolutely sinister, because the PISOs did that too. Okay, so in the second millennium BC, that's 2000 years before Christ, faked up in the PISO stories. Okay, and so you got Parthenope developed through the 9th to 8th century BC and was refounded as Neapolis. Got the word PISO in it. It's got the word polis in it. You might have noticed it. Yeah, that's why the usual suspects are former police persons, and that's why the police nowhere on the globe are any way involved in genuine crime detection. All of them are intimidated out of that, yeah, because they end up dead in a gutter somewhere if they have the courage to take it on. And the man that has the courage to take it on in LA Confidential is a Pierce, and he is a PISO. Do you get it? Like the Pierces that are the women folk of George W. Bush's lineage. That's actually George Herbert Poppy Bush, the Poppy linkage to the murderous place that is the Colosseum in Rome. And every Remembrance Sunday for all of the war dead that die for this. Right then, let's get going. The Greek culture of Naples was important to later Roman society. When the city became part of the Roman Republic in the centre of the province of the empire, it was a major cultural centre. So here is Publius Virgilius Maro. Virgil, or Virgil, was an ancient Roman poet of the Augustan period. He is known for 3 major works of Latin literature. 70 BC, that is when Agricola, the author, was in Russia, in Scotland, and 79 BC, AD. Oh, sorry, it was 79 AD that Agricola was in Scotland. Yeah, with the Antonine Emperor. Okay, that's the Antonine Wall in Scotland. And so this one's involved in a massive Homer-like Iliad, and that is the Odysseys that Jason takes, and that becomes David fucking Jason in the yellow Rothschild's three-cornered, three-wheeled vehicle. It's the pyramid jokes. Yeah, and that's David Jason, and all the chandelier jokes, and all of these blocks of flats are the Finchley that Road laundering tools. It's absolutely ruthless. Yet the whole world is now a mafia up. And thank you to the decent looking policewomen who are jogging and smile at me, lovely, lovely, innocent smiles in the supermarket every evening. Yet there is no need for it, but there is no leadership team that has the courage to take them on because they're murderous. This is Publius Piso and the Hadrian jokes near Hexham. Okay, Virgil is an example of the political and cultural freedom of Naples. It's the biggest fraud in world history. Is a microcosm of the European history because it saw several civilizations come and go. That's killing people in the Colosseum for entertainment. Yeah, and the retention of slaves, which is also in the Christian Bible as a commonplace thing, and the Jehovah's still believe in it. Yeah, slavery is a good thing. Yeah. Each leaving traces also in its art and architecture. Naples was the capital of duchies, kingdoms and one empire, and it was primarily a cultural centre. Believe that if you like. It's the biggest defrauding project that ever took place, and the code is ever so clever, and all the polis driven launches of the number plates on every vehicle I see in my hometown now, all of them are encoded with the secret numbers like 50 and 60. 50 is the nuns, the 60 is Calpurnius Piso himself, he's the man. Yeah, 300, yeah, you don't get that on the number plates, but all of it is embedded into all of their jokes and all of their false news. Yeah, and the PI word gets replaced by pie, as we've heard, for the American Pie song, and there's the chicken and ovo jokes. Yeah, and that's the Castel del Ovo, which is a mega ride if your sperm count is high. Everything is smutty for them. Okay, and the ride is vital because that is the horsey joke too. Yeah, in the saddle, in the what was the joke that we shared the other day? The gallop. Yeah, and that was in the orgy at Waterloo, in Belgium, in Brussels, on the eve of the world's biggest banking frauds. The earliest of founding of Naples itself is claimed in legend to be Phaleron, yet Latinized from Phalerum, after the hero Phalaros, an Argonaut in Greek mythology. Yeah, and it's really sad what's become of Hera in that story, the inspirational goddess who lived with Zeus in the heavens, up in the clouds, and now they've got the fucking RAF buzzing around all of those places all of the time, and that is the Fly Wright brothers that created that. Yeah, that's the fascism that runs every war, that runs all the Italian dictators, and Mussolini had all the hallmarks of all of their evil predecessors, and Berlusconi was just as bad, but he was not involved other than in Iraq in any of the great conflicts as a G8 leader. He's a sexual diversion and a massive fraud and media false news man. Okay, Parthenope was the name of the siren in Greek mythology, said to have washed ashore at Megaride. Same story on the Isle of Mull, and it's a massive torrent there. The Falls of Lorne are a huge whirlpool in the middle of the peaceful inner islands of Scotland, after throwing herself into the sea when she failed to bewitch Ulysses with her song. So the Falls of Lorne is on the end of the fault line that runs from Andy Murray's Dunblane, yeah, right across to Oban. Yeah, and my niece who lives there has been in touch this very day. She's on holiday today. Okay, and it's beautiful. I'd love to visit. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and that is the threat to them from the gods in the heavens that they totally ignore at their own peril. It last erupted in 1945, yeah, right at the end of the war, not during the war, which was for profit for all sides, yeah, only for the leadership teams, but after the war, when all of those heavily armed common men were returning home, having risked their lives for the frauds that we're telling you about here, and none of the Christians, yeah, I don't believe that very many of them know about it, but many do. When you see the touching of wood at every service, it is ruthless, and they will stop that this weekend. But you can tell from the limps, yeah, you can tell from the limps and the pathologies, yeah, who's on the right side of the fence. And it's wonderful to see that people realise that when you point out to them that if God is in control of the pathology, and all you need to do to change that is to be decent to your neighbours and to love them, instead of hating them and scamming them out of their money, yeah, that you don't need to have the limp after all. Thank you to the Episcopalians for all of your warm receptions. I never thought I would say that, but it is the most genial and most powerful church that I go to now. That could start a riot. Okay, so the Castel der chicken and eggs, yeah, that's the St. Peter denial. It's Fox News, it's the cock crowing, it's everything is a joke. And even the golfers and the links to, I forget what the name of the Hertfordshire golfer, Nick Falco, yeah, all of that is part of the Roman Empire scam. Yeah, and the Odyssey originally started in Greece, and everything that they tell just is retold, and every time they start a new one and retelling, Joseph is at the head of it. And in the earlier video it is Ben Yusuf in the El Cid movie. Okay, there is the come by joke, and that is a place in the northern region, and the Kumbaya song, yeah, so what the shepherds used to say was, come by little sheep, yeah, or come by cow, and it kept the animal composed. And the other thing that they used to say to them was kush kush, and that is the name of the Nile. Yeah, and Nile means PISO, floors means PISO, and all the time the jokes are massive. Okay, and this is the story about Hannibal crossing the Alps out of Carthage, and that's where all of those massive scenes are in the Gladiator movie. Yeah, and that is a civilization on its own, and the Carthaginians and the Phoenicians are much better at sailing than the Romans, which is why they prefer to fight their battles on land. Okay, I'm going to move to the next tab because we've spent a lot of time on that, and we're 44 minutes in. Okay, so Publius Vergis Maro, I think we'd gotten, let's see whether or not there's any more highlighted in the Naples tab. So there's Virgil in the flesh with his nose crashed in. Okay, and here is the naming of, yeah, one of the New World Order authors. Sartorius is the real name of President Obama, and he's in these elite bloodlines. Like all of the world fraudsters, all of them become presidents and prime ministers. Do you get that? And Suetonius is in the Christian Bible, and it's in Barak is in the Requiem that I keep telling you about. Okay, And many of the people in the stories and all the tabs are the PISO family members that I've told you about in previous videos. I don't think we've got many more. And you've got all of the links to astronomy, medicine, and the arts for civilization. Rome is reputed to be one of the great places. But when you see the might of the Colosseum and you see the bimbos that are the rugby supporters now, it's just the same. No change, no constructive movement towards civilization. And the corrupted governments are even more corrupted, and they've got automatic weapons and nuclear weapons. And in the papers today, the nuclear threats are coming from, I can't remember what the story is, but it's pathetic. None of it is about the financial fraud that was the Trident scandal, and none of that has ever been talked about by anyone in Scotland, except at the political meetings that I attended, and only maybe 200 people are able to witness that. That's John Lamont, Paul Wheelhouse, but let's stay on world history. I don't think we've got any more highlights on that. So Cis Alpine is interesting. This is the launch of all of the places that Berlusconi lives in, and all of those places with the names that I've just shown you on the map. And the names on the map are telling. I've got them on the other. All that. The names on the map explain one hell of a lot of their piss takes. Okay? Oh, one hell of a lot of them. I don't know how long it's going to take to tell the story. So there's the map again, Cis Alpine Gaul. There's the gladiator joke along the side. Down here you've got the togas, and you've got little Emily in the Steerforth film. The Dickens output is here already. The Lee Mafia name is here already. And you've got all over it, I can't remember where Parma is. And up in the Alpine region you've got Innsbruck, and all of the stories I've told you about the popes, Benedict and the Archbishop Hudel and all of the friends of the Nazis that did the laundering out of Edessa. And this is the Med, and all of that is the known world at that time. It's absolutely fabulous. Right then, so Cis Alpine Gaul, there it is again, in a little bit closer up, extending from Venice, on the Adriatic to Pisa and Nice. That's the Leaning Tower. God controls everything, and all of the messages that I get now are really obvious. And Nice, which is where my new friend from, and lover potentially, from France comes from, but she can't get her IT together to carry on with the dialogue. Or the Mediterranean to Lake Geneva in the west and the Alps in the north. This is the Davos region, this is the Innsbruck region, and that is where Hitler was born as a Rothschild. It's a really colourful story, And here we've got Cis Alpine Gaul, part of Italy inhabited by Celts since the 13th century. That's the Celtic colours that I've put it in there. Conquered by the Roman Republic in 220 BC. It was a Roman province from circa 81 BC, and that is all of that time. The Pisos are now running the mint in Rome and writing the Bible in Naples. Until that time it was considered part of Gaul, precisely that part of Gaul on the hither side of the Alps. Cis means on the same side in chemistry, and trans is on the opposite side. Okay, that is Bavaria, that is the Rothschilds, and the rocks and the Rockefellers, and the Rock in Jerusalem. Do you get it now? From the perspective of the Romans, as opposed to Trans Alpine Gaul on the far side of the Alps, the World Economic Forum and the crashing place for the skiing communities, often fatal but never accidents, thank you God. Okay, and here is the miraculous birth of the baby Jesus in the fucking stable, and all of it is totally pathetic, which is why she was going to chuck them out as drunks when they came in as the three wise men. But when she was told that they were going to get gold, frankincense and presents, she lit up like every citizen on our globe, Miss Valley Jane Lees, and all of it is a tragic, buffoonish tale that the whole world swallows. Okay, and there's the real Jesus, in inverted commas, being born in the stable, which is the PISO horse icon joke, and it's the same at Waterloo. They held the ball in the stable. And they killed only the Scotsmen that were making spectacles of themselves in the kilt to entertain all of the elite profiteers. Right then, this one will take longer, but I've got it illustrated. Transpadania. Okay, so this is Iraq, Armageddon and no bravery, because I mistakenly thought that the Po River empties into the southern Iraq region where the Otter films were made by Gavin Maxwell, but it's a different river name, I forget what it is. The Po is actually up in that Four Corners region that we've depicted already. Yeah, and all of the conflicts all around is for the creation of that massive empire so many miles from home. Okay, so this is Iraq, Armageddon, no bravery. None of the James Blunt things show up anymore, because he is one of the warmongering double agents that are related to his uncle in the Blunt dynasty in World War II. Yeah, and the Mortons are in it, and that's Uncle Desmond, and all of that becomes the Man from Uncle serial on the telly, featuring the people that are the corrupted actors that play the roles of the Balfours and the Balfour Stevensons, and the massive frauds that become globalism, and the Bible. Yeah, and look at the tools they have now. They don't just use the pen, they flatten the places, yeah, where they've launched the false religion in from the same family. Right then. Eventually the province was divided among the 4 of the 11 regions of Italy, and this is the king joke. Yeah, so Queen Margherita must have a king somewhere, and their name in the Python's jokes is Reggie. Cis Padana, Reggie the 9th, Liguria, Reggie the 10th, Venetia, a history, and Reggie the 11th in Gaul. Yeah, Transpadana, okay, that's across a Padana river, I believe. The 4 corners of the world in those. Yeah, you see it for yourself. It's very difficult, yeah, to see any of that as civilization, and what we've got now is just as bad. Okay, so here's the life of Brian, which is uncontestably testimony to the fact that this is a huge piss take. Do you get the B-Aryan joke now? Yeah, it is an absolute abomination, and all of the mockery that they get on about biggest dickus and all the stoning scenes, it is a telling indictment that it is a lie and a fraud. Yeah, and the Holy Grail is the goblin on the church roof. That's the goblet in every church. Every church has one, as the Frenchmen say to them on the ramparts. Yet the whole of Christianity and all of the other religions, yeah, are frauds, and all of the gods in the heavens, as explained in video number 1, are goners already. Yeah, they're totally ignored in all of the worshipping ceremonies that we have all around the world now. And it's tragic, and they get ever so ballistic. And even the judiciary here get ever so nervous when they get ever so ballistic on their call. Yeah, when they start trying to take me to court again for my council tax arrears, I'm going to hammer them. Yeah, with all of the massive crimes against the people that every politician has committed in this region. And the leader of that is a woman called Tracy Logan, who was with BAE Systems Limited, and they've now sold their IT jobs to a Canadian firm. And it is just massive. Yeah, they are totally stealing from their people. None of the things that the people pay for are delivered anymore. They're asset stripping every one of that. Yeah, and it is just a Freemasonic drinking club. And all the things that are solvent are the scams in the poetic sector for the Burns Club and the Abbotsford Trust for Sir Walter Scott. Absolutely hammer them with facts about their director numbers and what they've done to the ordinary people of the region. Okay, so here we've got the Celtic regions again, yet with different colour codes, and the Carneys are from here. It's the central bankers that went to Canada for a while and then steal out of Basel, where they're trained, from all of the British citizens. Yeah, and from all of the British local councils, who never get any of the funding because they pretend in the PISO and Rothschild and Rockefeller families that we are in a sovereign debt crisis, and they cannot possibly issue money to the poor. Yeah, 2,400 years at least old, that joke now. The Carnegie culture, yeah, 13th century BC, may represent the first migratory wave of the Proto-Celtic population from the northwest part of the Alps through the Alpine parties, had already penetrated and settled in the western Po Valley. That, in popular culture, is the pot that you shit in under your bed. Between Lake Maggiore and Lake Como, the pop singer Scamazina in culture. Yeah, that's for real, that is the region. Yeah, do you see how where all of the free world has evolved from? Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bears, Bavaria, popes. Okay, they brought a new, this is the joke about the graveyards globally, a new funerary practice, cremation, which supplanted inhumation, which I believe will be burial. Okay, and the graves in the Etruscan nation, that's the northern Italy civilization, are all the female vagina and the massive cock for the male jokes. And when you wander through the Scottish cemeteries, it's just the same. In Edinburgh they're really sinister. Okay, Andrew Carnegie, philanthropist, art collector, and what else have I got on that search? Nothing. So that's just Carnegie himself, and he melded with the Ligurian Aboriginal populations in northern Italy. Yeah, so that's the Celtic and Leponti, and Livy has the Insurbs led by Bolivius arrive in northern Italy. So these are the New World Order authors. Yeah, and people that are the PISOs. The most influential PISO of all was Arius Calpurnius Piso, and his nickname was Josephus. That was his pen name. That is a legend even in the American libraries. Yeah, and that is 1,000 years after it happened. Okay, Tuscany, Elba Island and Corsica. Ligurian tribes were also present in Latium, see Ruttali, and in Sam. Yeah, all of these names become biblical terms. Yeah, and they become places of residence for exiled emperors who are revolutionaries with the word Naples in their name. Yeah, and Nepal, yeah, is just the same joke. And in the earlier video I explained how how Mrs. Simpson was just a little messenger for Santa and Satan, which is also an anagram. Here's the Spurs jokes again. That's the double-headed ego. Yeah, notice some of them are communist and some of them are fascist. Yeah, and all of that is used by Russia. It's used by all of the massive states, and many of those countries use all of the Christian saints now because they've been imposed on them, and none of them ever lived. I don't know whether or not the Saint McKillop, the cover for the RBS crimes, was actually recorded on YouTube as someone who actually lived. She was a nurse, I'm led to believe, or maybe a nun. Modern linguists like Xavier Delamare argues that Ligurian was a Celtic language, yet nothing very interesting there. Let's keep going until we see another picture. So Strabo I thought was a volcano, but Strabo is now a New World Order author, and he has nothing to do with this theory that volcanoes are anything to do with the gods. Yeah, that's why he's planted into it, and everything that the world believes is a lie. So Thales, that is that one from the Jason and the Argonauts movie. Yeah, Thales believed the earthquakes, but Thales now is not one of the gods' tools with renewable oil coming out of the ground and up through and into his heel, which they're able to kill him as a god with by removing the cap on his heel behind his sandal. Yeah, it's all massive. So they replace the real Thales, yeah, in the Odyssey with someone who's picked up a pen, and he declares the earthquakes happened when large waves rocked the earth from below. Earthquakes are manifestations of storms in the ocean on which the flat earth rode. Many years later, Strabo had a quite different idea. He believed that hot winds blew below ground, and from time to time those, and now we've got global warming, and they've removed all the great rainforests as elite leaders, and all of that means that the fixation of nitrogen and the reproduction of oxygen becomes ever so difficult. But God can do it. He created the whole universe, and they pretend that what has happened to our world is entirely due to the common people breathing. Right then, so Thales, it's my favourite movie of all time, and a lot of it still inspires me. They still contact me, they still communicate with me on a daily basis. They regulate all of the weather patterns, they regulate the massive flooding and the massive windstorms that we get, and everybody in my region now knows that. And we're really intimidated it for the best part of 6 weeks, when everybody was winning the lottery and inviting the Queen to come and talk to cover it all up. Thales, cross hell, all the same, no God, we have replaced you joke. Okay, so all of the gods that sit on the clouds and look down from on the beautiful world that they created have now been replaced by the false Jesus and his mum. And they get ever so angry, and so would I. This one exudes the earth and the renewable oil out of his heel, which is how Jason manages to kill him. Eventually they bleed him dry, like what they're doing now with the fracking. Yet all of the oil is renewable underneath the earth's crust, and all of that is reliant on carbon, water, and high pressures and high temperatures, and then you get the long chain polycarbons that become petroleum or gasoline in America. And the gods are ever so good. They control and regulate all of the genes in our bodies, which is why Henry VIII cannot have male children, and why many of his wives are headless in their graves. And when the authors of the things that get everyone into heretical debate declare that God is not great, that man is dead within 2 years. He further right then, let's go to only to highlight bits, because I'm only on the 3rd tab. So here's the Praetorian links to Rome again, and we're in another part of Italy now. Tabula Peutingeringia, showing northern Italy between Augusta, Pretoria. This is Ostia. This is where the gladiators' forces were when he was in the Colosseum risking his life to entertain the emperor who had him stabbed in the side like Jesus. And Placentia, Pia Sentia in the PISO joke. Yeah, that's the Praetorian Guard, and all through world history. Yeah. The Insubras are marked as inhabiting the Po Valley upstream, and I think this is the bit where it declares that many of those rivers run dry. Yeah, and when they dam them, they get all the issues that you've got of the flooding in Venice. In 391, Celts who had their BC, that had their homes beyond the Alps, streamed through the passes in great strength and seized the territory that lay between the Apennine Mountains and the Alps. Okay, so this is all the Hannibal and the elephants jokes, and I don't know whether or not any of the elephants across the Alps stories are true, or any of the dinosaur fossil stories are true, because of the renewable oil stuff that I intensely believe in, and all the Russian scientists proved was possible, yet in the 1950s, which is why the Western governments and the G20 needed the Cold War, launched by the totalitarian menace of Stalin, who is all of these people's ally in the great conflicts. Yeah, here's the Scipio battle that was celebrated in the Gladiator film, and Hannibal, yeah, is his greatest enemy. Okay, none of that is very interesting or heretical. Let's get down to some of the... Okay, so in 81 BC, the promised province in Cispadina was part to the south of the River Po, and it's called Mutina. And this is the modern day Modena, yeah, and that is the mutiny on the Bounty stories, and that is God in all of the Hanna-Barbera jokes, and he's got the flying gear so he can get to heaven, yeah, and like all of the stories about Jesus and all of the comedic output of Lily Allen and all of the menagerie of animals, yeah, magnificent men in the flying machines, all epistic. So that is the town of, what was it? Modena, Mutina, as in the old days, and where in 73 BC, forces under Spartacus, you might have heard of him, he's another slave, yeah, getting killed in the hundreds, yeah, and they, when Christianity is launched, begin to get crucified too. Defeated the legion of Gaius Cassius Longinus, the provincial governor. Okay, Spartacus had a chance to fight to the death with his second in command, yeah, with only half a dozen people policing it, and instead they chose to fight against each other. Okay, so this is the launch of yeah, do you get it? What we just saw, I keep forgetting what we just saw, but when I read it first, it's just obvious. So we're in Mutina, yeah, and the name of the person or the town there is Long John, okay, and that is the Long John Silver, yeah. It is massive, and Gaius is the name of those intermediate Pisos that were between the most powerful one and the earlier ones, which were Paterculus John Patterson. Right then, so pirates plunder Walt Disney, the most powerful Zionist organisation on the world now, and that one is a basket case. He does not have the the cross-like icon on that. He's got a hand protection racket, but his leg's already gone. Like David Murray, okay? And the parrot jokes are all through the Monty Python story too, and the Winston Churchill stories, but are still not really sussed that out. The Pythons think it's hilarious, the dead parrot sketch. If anybody knows it, please drop me an email or give me a phone call. Yeah, and there's all of the slaves, yeah, in the revolution, and all the stories about the union leaders that I was telling you earlier on in episode 1 and in episode 2 that was cut down by Rebecca Brooks's Intel, yeah, with the Shania Twain video. Okay, so there's the slaves on the letter T. This time they have not got an upper projection. Yeah, that's the wood joke, and you're now beginning to learn all of it. Okay, and there's the vulturine creatures, and Julius Caesar in 49 BC granted to the populations of the province full Roman citizenships. This is the crossing the Rubicon River, yeah, in its southern boundary with Italia proper. By crossing this river in 49 BC with his battle-hardened legions returning from the conquest of Gaul, Julius Caesar precipitated the civil war within the Roman Republic, which led eventually to the establishment of the Roman Empire. To this day, the term crossing the Rubicon means figuratively reaching the point of no return. So what do you think they do? They dam it, they turn it into bog regions, and they turn it into massive lakes that are uncrossable. Yeah, and that is in the song A Dog Called Tag by Jim Reeves, yeah, returning from the great conflict that is World War II into America. My mother's favourite singer. Octavia's italicization program during the Second Triumvirate, that's one of the biggest scams of the lot. That is Prince Philip's drug running scams, yeah, and there is the Three Musketeers icon on the top of Calvary Hill. Yeah, it is just a stupid story, totally made up by the PISO pen, and all of it everybody swallows and coughs up all their cash for, and in the conscription campaigns, even beyond slavery, all of them give up their lives for the super elites that wrote it. And this is the triumvirates that are the drug runners, and we've told you about that in episode 1. Okay, there's the cocaine, there's the Philip light tubes and the sonar boys, there's the British Navy run by Prince Philip, there's all the stories about the paedophilia and all the stories about the Queen leaving his bedroom early doors, and there's him coming across in an orange box, and all of it is a massive set of continuing crimes by world leaders in the narcotics sector since the British-run Chinese Opium Wars, which lasted for 200 years, all of that distance from our homeland, yet a little bit closer to their German homeland. Right then, and here we've got the departed God actors that are the Dumasses that are hung on those Christian cross in the Bible story. That will have changed since I reported it. Yeah, one's a penitent thief and he is on the right wing, so he's allowed to be a repeat offender. Or no, he's told that he will get to heaven by Jesus in the middle. Yeah, do you get it? Departed God. All of the stories, right, the superb gods that created everything that we were given for free, Borders Council, yeah, the water, Scottish government, all of the English government scams. That's why none of the Prime Ministers have anything on Hansard any longer. The dissolution of the Provincia required a new governing law or lex. This is the bringing in of the law to fuck up our world. Okay? All of God's laws are ignored. We do not love our neighbours. We do not stick to our oath to love our wife or our husband lifelong, and all of it is done by design to create the chaotic environment that they need to keep the numbers down by conscription. Yet the draft board joke, Mrs. Valerie Jane Lees, although its contemporary title is unknown. Okay, so do you get it? That's the lexicon games that we play, and it's the law. Yeah, and we're in the Devil's Advocate movie. The law is the big determinant. It's the most devilish thing on our world, and even in the world today, the lawyers are trained by devil masters. The parts of it inscribed on a bronze tablet. There's my greatest hero, Charlton Heston, from the gun lobby in America. Yeah. Okay, and there we have Hera, Zeus and Jason in their team group up in the heavens, and it is fabulous to see them, and all of the challenging things that they get the humans to do. Yeah, all of it is run like a draft board game from the heavens. No one on earth can know whether or not that's true, because I believe that we're not allowed to know the mysteries of the gods, and I don't know whether or not there is an afterlife. Yeah, and frankly, until I pass on, that is totally irrelevant. Yeah, all I intend to do is keep doing the good thing for my country and all of this country's children. Yeah, and I will not stop doing that until they take me down. And that's Hera. She's now been replaced by cages, yeah, on the roadsides in the building schemes. Okay, and there's our Tally's mate with the heel on the back of his heel, and all of the oil comes out of that. Yeah, and when they sink all of that oil out of the subterranean region, yeah, by fracking and rupturing and disturbing the pressures that we need to make renewable oil, the whole lot of us are fucked. The museum at Parma, okay, so those are the gods, and that's all of the sad stuff about the RAF and the Fly Right brothers, and the capacity for us humans, Field McConnell, to be more powerful than the gods that created you, and can very easily give you heart or lung problems, and it is just amazing that the whole world laughs at them for so long. I don't know why they were asleep in the 20th century, but they're now wide awake and everybody is really jumpy. The museum at Parma are entirely concerned with arranging the judiciary. This is the Devil's Advocate film, yeah, about him never losing a case, yeah, and that's his wife called Mary, and that is the virgin birth in their joke, because that is the devil and he rapes her, yeah, and that is the story that they are laughing at, that we're foolish enough to believe that someone came down, yeah, in the form of a Jewish angel and told Christian Mary, yeah, who's also a Jew, and all of it is just a total fake. Okay, but the law thing is really serious, and that is the Samuel versus Jacob stories in the Bible, I think. And that's the Uncle Sam democracy without a king. Okay, the law appoints 2 viri and 4 viri jury decundo, and also mentions a prefect of mutina. Yeah, that's the mutt that you just saw in the air balloons flying the biplanes to heaven joke. And Muttley is Muttley Flint, who's a fraudster in the George W. Bush lineage, and he gets murdered in a court in California because he runs the virtual oil and gas scams. That's Bush Overby in America. Okay, and here's the mutiny on the Bounty with Long John Silver, and it's all the same sad parodies. Okay, and this one plays the religious cleric yeah, in the B. Overy movies, and there is all of the treason on the boats, and those are the 5 massive fleets from the 5 flies empires that are Spain, Portugal, France, Holland and Great Britain.